Thank you.
Wow.
That sounds perfect.
Appreciate it.
You hear us okay? Okay, so now we have to do the highly tech thing as share our screen. Let's see if we can. Okay, can you see that okay? Perfect. There you go. The hardest task of the session is now done.
There's usually always something. I've been doing this for years, but anyway.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for showing up to our session today, and for anyone who's listening to the recording as well, because we know how busy life can be and it's hard to fit things in. So thank you. And we're excited to be presenting. Thanks to Jen and the Shop Local Raleigh team for asking us to come and share with you what we hope will be a lot of insights that we've gained over many, many years doing this. So we want to chat with you about partnering with influencers for your business success, and to look at this way of partnering with influencers to help grow your business, your followers, and align with your goals, whatever they may be. So, well, how do we know anything about influencing? And thank you to everyone who dropped some comments too about why you're here and where you're coming from. That's helpful. And we'll try and keep an eye on the chat as we go along, but we will leave those questionings for later. But I just want to make sure, can you see the full screen there, or is no, I'm not covering it up at all? Okay, perfect. So who are we? Why do we know anything about influencing? Well, Craig and I have been traveling the world. Well, I started in 97, and we were both doing solo trips, and then we got together in 2000 and married in 2002, and have traveled together ever since then. And when our kids came along, everybody said travel was now over for us, and we were like, well, that's not how we want to live our life. We'll show you that it is possible to also travel with kids. So we took that passion and love and experience and knowledge that we have around traveling in all different forms: solo travel, couples travel, family travel. And in 2010, we started our global travel site. So we've had a lot of success with that. We're still doing it today. So we're coming on to our 14th year next April in doing it. And that's been our full-time family income since around 2013. And in 2020, we received a green card recognized by the government for our extraordinary ability in the art of travel blogging. And that's the legit title that they gave to us, which we were pretty excited about, but mostly because it finally gave us the permission to live permanently in Raleigh. And our journey, we had been back and forth living in Raleigh since 2004, but on temporary visas. And both Craig and I absolutely loved it. And as soon as we arrived, we knew this was where we wanted to have a permanent home. So eventually we were able to do that because of our travel blog. So that was quite an exciting and an unexpected part of this journey into the blogging and influencing world. And then we all know what happened in 2020, the pandemic. We never, ever expected, we thought we were in a pretty solid industry. We never expected that travel would disappear literally overnight. So of course that really impacted our business. And we used that as an opportunity to pivot. As we mentioned, we love Raleigh. We love living here. We've relocated here, I think 3 or 4 times ourselves. And we just love the lifestyle here. So we use that opportunity to take our skills as content creators, plus our passion for living here, and create a similar business and site as to what we were doing with the travel blog, but this time focused on Raleigh and helping people who live here connect to where they live and love where they live, but also helping people thinking of moving here to give them an idea of what life would be like if they did make the decision to move here. And of course, we do have people who come and visit Raleigh. Raleigh is not a great tourist destination, but there are still many people visiting for events, sports, college, etc. So we help them to show them how they can have a good time when they come and visit as well. And so these are just some of the brands that we have worked with since 2010. The top ones, that's through our travel account. So you can see we have worked with some of the biggest brands in the world, particularly in the travel industry, but we've also worked outside of that with Ford, American Express, Microsoft. Usually those partnerships have had a travel focus though. And then down the bottom, we've had quite a lot of success with our Raleigh site since we started it. And there's some of the local brands and businesses that we have worked with. And we are still doing both sites. So we have two businesses that we're running pretty much.
Yeah, I just want to throw in there quickly that even before we started, this is Raleigh in 2020, we've been singing the cities and the triangles praises since 2004. As soon as we moved here, we'd never heard of Raleigh. We were living in Dublin, Ireland at the time, and we saw Clay Aiken on American Idol. That's the first time we ever heard of Raleigh. Like, what's this place? But when we first moved here, we said, this is America's best kept secret. Why are people not talking about Raleigh? But as you know, the secret is well and truly out now. Okay, so what and who is an influencer? Most of you online probably pretty familiar with the term, but if you're not, allow me to elaborate. To be honest, when I first heard the term by the industry several years ago, I didn't particularly like the term, and I still a bit cheesy and manipulative. But of course, we don't have any control over that. What we can control is being good influencers ourselves to our community and our readers and followers online. But if you'd like a more of an official definition, Influencer Marketing Hub, which are basically an online resource for brands, they describe it as the power to affect the purchasing decision of others. Influencer has authority, knowledge, or a relationship with their audience. And typically they have a larger than average following in a particular niche with whom they actively engage. Oh, let me skip. Why is that not moving? Sorry, just paused for a second. All right, so maybe some of you guys might have the budget now or in the future to work with some A-list celebrities. But till then, most of you are probably going to be focused on the micro and macro influencers. On the left, micro influencers. Now, typically that's from people who have followings of 1,000 to 40K on one particular social platform. And that's usually niche specific, and they have a specialist and loyal engaged following. Macro influencers, that's when you step up between your 40K to 1 million audience size on more than one social network. That could be your B-grade celebrities or successful online experts and entrepreneurs. As I said, multiple platforms. It might not just be Instagram, it could be TikTok, could have a blog, could have YouTube, could have a podcast. They're typically more business savvy, and they have an element of experience of working with brands previously. Can you hit that for me, please? All right, so how can small businesses work with influencers to benefit your bottom line? I think we can all agree that word of mouth marketing is some of, if not the most powerful form of marketing. And if you get it right, if you align with a relevant influencer with your brand or product or service, you can really amplify that word of mouth marketing because influencers can create content that is authentic and more relatable and personal, that not only inspires, but informs their audience. Third-party validation is key. That's basically, you know, somebody else shouting from the rooftops about your business other than yourself, which I think most consumers tend to trust the third party more so than hearing it directly from the business owner themselves. And an engaged community of like-minded people who also tend to typically trust the influencer, otherwise wouldn't be following them in the first place. So if you get everything on the left right, you can leverage this into humanizing your brand and your business and develop more trust. They can help you with brand exposure, drive sales, increase website traffic, build your own social communities, and help you collect important data and feedback.
Okay, so let's look at ways that you can work with influencers, how you can work with them. So this is the guiding principle that we use and we consider before we enter into any kind of relationship with the brand. We also consider it with the content that we put out with our community. How is it creating win-win? And this is the first step and the best step for you to take and not miss. I think about where is the win for you, the influencer and the follower. So really be very clear on what it is that you're trying to achieve in partnering with an influencer. And what would that good result be for you? What would it look like? Are you looking to get more people to your event? Are you looking to make more sales? Are you looking to increase your followers? So get clear on what that win is for you. Then what is the win for an influencer? So remembering everyone's bottom line as a business owner or even someone working in a job in their career is money, because we all need money in order to survive and pay for our bills and have some of our desires, etc. We all know and understand that. So it's the same for an influencer as well. So think about how can you help them win in that regard. We know that not everyone has a budget or a limited budget. So there are other things that may benefit an influencer. Growth is one of those. So how could you help provide the win for them in terms of growth? And then in terms of leverage. So that's taking into account what are the influencers' bigger dreams and goals, and how could you perhaps partner with them in a way that may help them get to those goals. So speaking here with Shop Local Raleigh is a great opportunity for us to leverage towards our greater vision, to have people know and understand who we are and the services and what we do for our community. And then the follower, so the influencer's follower, because an influencer, part of the value in working with them is they have quite a close relationship with their following and their community, and they really care about them. So how can you help their followers? Firstly, you want to be able to be partnering as a trustworthy, having a relevant product and service. You could think, and we're going to go through some examples, you could think about, could you do a giveaway prize? Could you offer their community discounts and promotions? There are lots of different ways you could help a follower win, and we'll share some of those as we move forward. So what to look for? Really important that you vet each influencer. So if you just want to check off the box and say, well, yes, I'm doing influencer marketing, and just reach out to anyone who has an Instagram account without vetting them, it could end up being a disaster for your results and also your reputation. So it's your responsibility to vet them. And here are some of the things that you can look for. Firstly, I want you to remove the idea of just looking at numbers, because numbers don't tell an adequate story. Unfortunately, we've been in the industry long enough to know there are some things going on in the back. Some people can easily buy followers, they can buy likes, etc. So numbers don't tell the true story. We'll show some examples as well, how sometimes following the numbers has turned out to be a disaster. What you want to look for is the quality of their content. How creative and unique are they with their content and story? And how relevant are they to your brand, product, and service? Then look at what kind of expertise and authority do they have. So for us, for example, we're experts on travel. It's been our lifestyle since 1997, our business for 13 years. So it made sense that RDU recently partnered with us because we know a lot about travel, especially coming in and out of airports. Professionalism, really important. How professional? Remember, you're going to align with an influencer. That's your brand on the line when you partner with them. So professionalism is really important. And how are they engaging with their community? That's the power and the uniqueness of working with an influence, is they have that close relationship. So you want to actually see them engaging with them. One other really important thing, and I think it's becoming more and more important, are they on multiple platforms? If you're partnering with an influencer and they're just on one platform like Instagram, there's a lot less that you can do. It can be quite, I would say, perhaps a weaker partnership. And if they're just on Instagram, they're just relying, well, they're impacted by an algorithm. So there are no other opportunities for them to be seen above the algorithm and for your message to get across as well. Are they featured by other media forms? This one's really important. It will speak to their credibility. If other media forms like traditional media, TV, etc., are coming to them as expert sources or they're being featured on there, you can pretty much guarantee they're legit and know what they're doing. Longevity is another one of those signals. That doesn't mean you can't work with a new influencer, because a lot of them are having success, etc. But if they've been in it for a long time, you could probably assume they're quite professional, they have good community following, and are quite authentic, creative, and relevant with their content. And then also look at any awards or recognition they may have been given. For us, the Green Card is a huge award. We had to submit a 500-page application to prove that we were at the top of our field in order to get that Green Card, and that we were actually providing a valuable service to the USA. So that's pretty good credibility. And don't be afraid to ask the influencer for this. If you're not sure if they have awards, if you're not sure if they're being featured in other media, it's okay to ask them. And I'm sure they'd be happy to provide that information.
Yeah, okay. How to find influencers to partner with. I think you can start by looking at your own social accounts and who's already talking about you. You might already have some raving fans who are actively engaging with you. They're always sharing you naturally. Even if they have a smaller following themselves versus, say, an influencer who has 100,000 people following, but they've never heard of you and they don't particularly have an interest in your product or service, versus someone who is a super fan. They've always been following you from day one. They can be a much natural fit, and it can feel like less of a push. Simple Google search, of course. You know, if you're looking for a blogger or a YouTuber, anyone worth their salt is going to show up in Google. Or also, as Kez mentioned, maybe a TikToker or a Snapchatter has been featured in traditional media. That should show up on Google somewhere. Hashtags, obviously, on Instagram. If you're a Raleigh restaurant, you could follow hashtags like 919eats or Raleigh restaurants, etc. Either follow that hashtag or just scroll through the feed under that hashtag, see what jumps out to you, what content appeals to you, what looks on brand for you, and connect that way. Or Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days. Geolocation, like who's creating content. Say you're based in downtown Raleigh, who's already creating content in downtown Raleigh. You can follow that and take a look at that and sift through that. Just covered up my screen a bit there. Sorry. Ask for referrals. Referrals are powerful. I mean, most of us are small business owners here, so reach out to your colleagues. You know, if you're looking for a particular YouTuber or a podcaster or a videographer, they've possibly already partnered with somebody who they'd be happy to refer. Who are your competitors working with? Obviously, we live in the online world and we can snoop and see what else is going on. But when I say that, I don't mean copying what other creatives and what other influencers and business owners are doing, but it can help to get the juices flowing. And to be honest, most micro and macro influencers aren't going to be exclusive to one particular restaurant or brand. We certainly aren't. So yeah, if you like the kind of work they've done, you can reach out and, you know, come up with some new creative ideas around your products. Networking events, of course, and conferences are a great way to connect with not other business owners, but typically influencers and content creators are going there to learn and network themselves. And then, of course, social media, LinkedIn and Twitter, they're great places, particularly LinkedIn, getting to the owner of the business, the yes person. I always find that a great place to network and reach out that way.
So some relationship building steps. So we think we're really in a relationship business, and that is a relationship with our community, but also a relationship with the partners and clients that we work with. And so the foundation for any great relationship is building a know, like, and trust. So we want to build that with our partners, but we also want to build that with our community. And we really vet who we work with, because our community know, like, and trust us, and we don't want to ruin that relationship. And that's a value that we can bring to a partner as well. So just some steps I thought we'd outline to think about. Firstly, as mentioned, you want to find that good fit. So you want to spend some time vetting some influencers you think would be a great fit create a list of those potential ones, and then just start monitoring them. Then you get a really good grip on the type of content they create, their unique story, how they're engaging with their community. And then, as mentioned before, you want to start thinking then about that win-win-win. What does that look like for you, for them, and for the people who follow them? Then this is an important part of the step, the process that a lot of people miss. And I'll explain why it's important, but we have a lot of people reaching out to us every day, and they'll just say, I want you to promote this, or I want you to share this. And we've never seen or heard of them before. We don't know, first of all. So the first part of the relationship building is not there. And if we don't know them, we can't determine if we like or trust them or think it's a valuable share for our community. So this step is just helping that influencer get to know who you are, build that relationship, so then they can start liking you and trusting you. So you can do that by following them, engaging in their content, sharing their content. Influencers will pay attention to this. If you think about it, that's helping us grow. So of course we're going to pay attention. Of course we're going to appreciate that. You can link to their content as well. For us as bloggers, that's something that we really love. And so that really stands out to us. And there have been a lot of local businesses here in Raleigh that we've gotten to know, like, and trust just because they've followed these steps. So that just makes it easier then. If they want to work with us, we've already established that know and like. It's easier to move forward with a potential partnership. Then the next step is developing that trust. And you really want to stand behind your product in this step. You want the influencer to be able to sample or experience your product and services under no obligation. And this is really important. I understand it's a risk and could be very nerve-wracking for you because there's an element there that you might lose. Hopefully you've vetted the influencer well enough so you can see that they're professional and they're not going to take advantage of you. And I think the majority of influencers wouldn't, but in this instance, you would allow them to sample your product. So I saw someone here as a candle company. Maybe you could say, hey, I just, it's fall coming up. Everyone loves fall aromas. I just want to send you this candle so that you can experience the beauty of fall. No obligation.
Smells like s'mores or a fire pit.
Wonderful. You can't beat that. So, and smells really powerful. People can, it's like the most memory invoking scent. So that's just a way that you can do it. Now, obviously you are hoping they're going to share your product, but there is a element there that they may not, but they're experiencing it, and perhaps they're talking to their community in 2 weeks' time, candles come up and they say, hey, I tried this candle from this company. It was fall and it was wonderful. So it's probably, karma's going to probably come into play for you there. But the key is no obligation. If someone reached out to me and said, I want to send you a candle and I want you to do 2 updates for me and a video, I'm just going to say no, thank you, because there's no like trust there. There's no real win for me. And the only thing I'm getting is a lot of work. So that no obligation is really important. And then you can then from there move on to discussing partnership. This takes a lot longer. It involves a lot more groundwork, but you're going to get a far better relationship with an influencer, more opportunity for the exposure that you're looking for and to help achieving those marketing goals that you have, and more potential for long-term partnerships because it won't be one-sided.
Okay, so you might be wondering, why do I have to pay an influencer? Why can't they just share and shout about me for free all the time? Yeah, we understand that you have budgets and you have resource constraints, but just bear in mind that influencers and content creators, we're also small businesses and we have to make business decisions as well. So what you're essentially paying for is access to their trusted audience that they might have spent years curating and creating, who are super relevant to your destination, to your brand, to your product or your service. You're paying for their time, creativity, and skills. I am a licensed drone videographer, for example. Caroline is great at writing stories. She's good at email marketing. We understand SEO and getting blog posts to rank for longevity in Google. Caroline speaks at conferences and events. So, take a look at the potential influencer that you're looking to partner with and what skills they can bring to the table that you might need. Again, that endorsement, that third-party endorsement we mentioned, that was very powerful. When you're paying an influencer, you typically have more skin in the game for both parties. If somebody just hosts us for an event or something, Caroline mentioned the no obligation about creating content, but if we align ourselves in a partnership and, it's a paid campaign, paid marketing campaign, we obviously prioritize that content as far as the time and resources and the type of content we create. When that content gets published, it's prioritized over simple hosted activities. And you can, as a business owner, you can also have more control over the messaging, the type of content, and any publishing dates.
So a question that you can ask yourself if you're unsure as to whether, paying an influencer or just hosting or contra, am I requesting the services of an influencer to help me make money? So if you're requesting their services and directing what you want them to create so that you can eventually make money, that's marketing. So I think that's a very clear-cut question to help you understand. Then from there, you can ask, well, why should they work for free to help me make money? And then would you do the same? And then moving on from there, the next important question is, well, why would they say yes? So this is the question you want to ask if you really want to work with an influencer, but you're a new business and you just don't have those marketing dollars. We're going to show you some creative ways, but answering these questions first is going to help you move through the process of actually making a partnership work. So you have no budget. Look, we understand we've been doing this for 13 years. We started doing this before anybody in the industry, in the blogging influencer industry, was making money. Back then it was frowned upon. It was pay to play or cash for comment.
No cash for comment.
No cash for comment. We had to educate a lot. We had to push through this to prove that we had worth in the marketing world and did deserve to earn money. So we've done lots of partnerships where we haven't received money, but we have received some form of value in terms of growth or leverage. And we still do that now, as long as we're getting some kind of win out of it. And we know our game plan, we know our strategy, and we know how to line that up. So an influencer can do that. They have lots of ways that they can work with you. So you want to have those conversations with them. And you then thinking about the win-win-win. What can you help them with? You want to find a fair value exchange. So someone offering me a glass of wine to do 5 hours work, experiencing the wine bar, creating the content, the reel, editing the video, etc., is not a fair value exchange, and that's more than likely going to be a no for me. So where is there leverage? We've spoken about this quite a lot. So for example, Craig mentioned I do speaking. I love speaking. I speak often for the TBEX, which is the largest travel blogging conference in the world. I don't get paid for that, but they do cover my costs to fly into the region. In May, I went to Greece and I spoke there, which,
It's terrible, isn't it?
That's terrible. I know. But for me, there was great leverage in there, given what we do, because I knew I could go to Greece and create a lot of great travel content on Greece, which would eventually earn us money. And I was also able to sell some of our content to our long-term partners along the way. So that's the idea of that leverage being there. Where might that be for an influencer? And also consider different money buckets. So back in the very beginning, we started working with Tourism Queensland. We worked with them long-term for over 2 years. And this was at the time where it was no cash for comment. And they really wanted to work with us. They really saw the value of it. And they said, we're going to make this happen we're going to go to our marketing and assets bucket, and we're going to pay you through that avenue instead. So think about what different money buckets that you have and how could you maybe move things around so an influencer could fit into that bucket.
Okay, just a few tips now on how to approach partnerships. Like you found an influencer, how to reach out to them. Be personal, guys. Be relevant and specific in your outreach. As we mentioned, we get a lot of DMs through Instagram. We get a lot of emails, and we can pretty much tell the ones that are worth opening and reading from the subject line. We can tell if an email has been copied and pasted to like 20 or 30 different people. Usually, sometimes our name can be wrong, and you can tell that they haven't even looked at your website or your about page. They might pretend that they know what your business is and all about, but we can tell pretty quickly. So yeah, at least get their name right. Be personal, because everyone's busy. Everyone's inbox is overfilled, particularly in DMs and Instagram. That's very hard to keep up with the three different categories there. It's a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. I do prefer email, but email can get busy as well. Be upfront with your budget. If you don't have a budget, that is okay. That helps influencers to craft their campaign and the type of content they can create and how they can help you. And if you do have a budget, likewise. Share your ideas, but also listen to theirs. Most full-time business owners and influencers, they've been doing this for quite a while. They have experience with previous partnerships. They know and understand their audience and the type of content their audience engages with and is looking for and likes. Make it easy for influencers to use your product or service. I think we've mentioned a few times we get offered to go to a particular restaurant or a bar, get hosted there. But that can be kind of awkward. I'll say George is the owner of the restaurant, and he says, hey, love to have you guys come and experience a meal at my restaurant. Drop in any time. We've done that before, and George is not always in the restaurant, and the person on the front desk hosting has no idea who we are and why we're there, and that's a little embarrassing for us. I don't like feeling like a diva. It makes me feel like a diva. So that's kind of awkward for everybody. So what the business owner instead can do and say, hey guys, love you to come and experience a restaurant. Here's a $50 or $100 gift card. And so, that makes us more inclined when we're maybe in the area, we're more inclined to drop in on our own time and experience your restaurant or your bar or your attraction. And if you can stand behind your product and service, we're more inclined to probably share it then. Ask for a rate sheet and case studies. If you're going to invest some serious money and time and resources into a marketing campaign with an influencer, like dive deep into their analytics. On Instagram, we can tell you demographics of our followers, where they live, their age, whether they're male, female. For example, our top markets here are Raleigh, Carey, Durham, Wake Forest, and Apex. 70% of our followers are female, which apparently is a good thing because I have all the purchasing.
That's good.
And age, our biggest age demographic is from the 25 to 44-year-old. So I would definitely ask stuff like that, which can be super powerful. Like if you're a business that focused more towards men and a particular influencer has 90% female audience, that's not really a great fit. And you can also do that with bloggers and YouTubers through Google Analytics. We can tell you the demographic of our audience, where they live, age, male, female, etc. Very handy information to have. You don't want to just hire somebody because they have 100,000 followers and they're just a totally wrong fit. Negotiate. Most things are negotiable when discussing partnerships, deliverables, the type of content, whether it's a blog post, whether it's an Instagram reel, or it's a YouTube video, a podcast episode, something on TikTok. Their expectations and time frame for any deadlines. Like if you have a new store opening or you've got a seasonal menu coming up in the fall, obviously you want that content out ahead of time so you can negotiate that. And paid campaigns, you can also request for like tracking links to see what's working and detailed reporting after the content has been published, which is very helpful for your ROI, obviously. Implementing contracts for most partnerships, just like one-off smaller money exchanged partnerships, we typically just negotiate that via email. For longer term partnerships, if something was stretched out, like say through a year, we did multiple content creations and marketing ideas, we have an in-house lawyer that we can run an eye through our contracts, and we suggest the same for you. Again.
Okay, so some creative partnership ideas. So we have done a lot of things over the years. So we wanted to share with you what some of those were, what we found have worked really well. Some of these, you could do it without payment for an influencer. We've tried to give you lots of different ideas. And I know when I'm listening to a session or at a conference, I love to see the ideas, the things that other people are doing to help spark that idea for me. So even though the ideas we share with you may not be specific to your small business and what you do, have a think about how you could adapt it so it will fit in with your particular business. So we've spoken a lot about the multi-platform, and that's what we like to use when we partner with the brand, because that's where the greatest power is. So we love to create content that hits all of our channels. It's the most effective use of our resources as well, and gives us more longevity, which is what we want to bring to the table when we work with a brand. So for the past year, we've been working with Blue Water Spa, local business here in Raleigh. We spent some time getting to know them first before we entered into a partnership, experiencing their business, what they do, how they give back to their community and their services. And then we did an in-person experience with their laser hair removal and the M-Seller machine. Women, oh my gosh, this is a miracle worker. But we shared that experience. So it's a lot different to if you just put an advertisement in a magazine, because you're hoping people will see that advertisement, but they're probably just flicking through it and they have no real connection there. Whereas we go in and it's like, hey guys, we're back at Blue Water Spa. We're experiencing this today. We're sharing that via our stories. Then when the experience was finished, we created a reel, which we put out through our community so they could see the whole experience in its entirety. And then we created a blog post. And in that, we can go really in depth, answer some facts, talk about the company. Plus, we have SEO knowledge. We provide the links back to Blue Water Spa, and all of that helps Blue Water Spa. We also have a podcast, so we share them in relevant episodes on our podcast. And our blog content is always pushed through our email as well.
All right, sorry, just taking a sip of my coffee. Afternoon slump. Giveaways can be a fun and powerful way for business owners, for you guys to build excitement and grow your own social channels and followings. People love to win prizes and love to engage that way. And particularly if you engage in a paid partnership with an influencer, one of the, what we do, and I'm sure most influencers do, two of the criteria to enter that giveaway on Instagram, for example, is they have to follow your business account, the brand, and they have to tag a friend, which gives them even more exposure. So it's just a fun way to grow your own social account, as I mentioned. And we've done some giveaways with North Hills in the past. I mean, who doesn't love to go and shop at North Hills? For our Christmas promotion last year, we gave a giveaway to the Butcher's Market, a 6-month meat membership, and Blue Water Spa. Once again, they gave away a great package for a lot of their products and services, which the community really appreciated.
And they're about to do another one too.
Discounts and commissions. On the right there, everyone's probably familiar with Emily from the Flourish Market, great store in the Warehouse District. She also participated in our 12 Days of Christmas promotion last year online. But what she also did, which was great and effective, is anyone who went into her store, she gave away a free $25 gift on top of that. And that was a great way to get people from online offline and feet in the door. And what you typically find, if someone comes into the door, they're probably going to spend more than the $25 voucher or gift card that you allocated, because I know you did that at Rose and Lee last year during Christmas. She went into a favorite boutique store in Apex with a $50 gift card, spending $200. So you know how that works. The middle slide there is Globus, big travel brand from our international travel account, big bus company and tour company. And they also own Avalon Waterways. You might have seen us do our European cruise recently. That was through Avalon. And we've also done several trips with Globus to Jordan and Ireland and Northern California. And they gave us a cool $100 coupon off anyone who books a tour. And that is live now currently. And they also have an in-house affiliate program. And if you're not sure of affiliate programs, that means if anyone clicks on a link through our site and goes and books one of their tours, we earn a small commission at no extra expense to them or the business owner, which can be quite powerful. And if you don't have a budget to pay an influencer and to work with people like us, if we can create content and earn and leverage that in other income stream ways, such as affiliate commissions, that really helps us as well, which happens quite a lot if we get offered to get hosted at a hotel and they don't have a budget to pay for our content creation or want to purchase any photography or drone video, etc. If they have an affiliate program and we can earn a small commission by anyone who books through the links on our site, that helps alleviate the no budget upfront pain point. And on the left there, we did a partnership with an F45 gym in Raleigh and Carey. We helped drive people to their 7-day free trial in January, because everyone's looking to go to the gym in January. And they also had a 6-week challenge throughout the year. And then we gave away a full membership, which was awesome and everyone appreciated.
So there's also an influencer can create content for your channels. This is what we were doing at the very beginning of blogging as well, because no one was paying us, but they could pay us if we were like freelance writers. So we started off writing a lot of articles for other sites, Lonely Planet, Condé Nast, and we still do that today. So we've written articles for Outer Banks Tourism, Ocracoke Island Tourism. We appeared as experts in a Google Hangout Q&A with Lonely Planet. Hangouts is kind of like Twitter, no longer exists.
Gee whiz, showing our age now. Hangouts.
And we also created content about travel in the USA to help a local company called Participate Learning. They recruit teachers from around the world to teach here, which is how we originally came over here, because I was a teacher. And we created that content to help their teachers travel and experience the USA. So there are lots of different ways an influencer could use their expertise and creativity to create content on your channel. Yes, social media takeovers. So we could, for example, jump on your social media account and say it was a Raleigh restaurant. We could say, hey, we're here to experience this restaurant tonight, and then showcase what we eat, etc. And doing all of that on your channels. We've done that before with travel. No, it was Condé Nast, I think, out in Wrightsville. So we showed them Wrightsville Beach in a day. And some other things you could have. Meet and greet. I see Mike is here. I spoke at her event, women's networking event. I've spoken at the Women's Social Club as well. Craig and I, because we've worked with North Hills quite a bit, we were a celebrity judge at their Iron Chef competition. So there are all sorts of different things you can do to have them create content for your channels. Okay,
marketing materials for you. Another creative way you, as business owners, you could work with other influencers is we did on the left slide is Visit Idaho. We worked with Visit Idaho, and they hired a film crew, and they wanted to showcase a family skiing for the first time. We'd never been skiing for the first time until a few years ago, believe it or not. We usually chase the sun, being Aussies. But they had a film crew follow us around for 4 days at 3 different ski resorts. So they got authentic natural content of us learning to ski. They filmed us in the water park there, in the restaurants. It was just really authentic. On the right there, we did a similar thing with Georgia State Parks. They hired a film crew and followed us to 4 different state parks that had resorts in there. So had us doing, like kayaking, playing golf, staying in the cabins, hiking. And from that, they were able to create a ton of small videos for their channels and push them out through YouTube and Instagram, etc. And using us as talent versus having to hire talent or models, which can seem a little bit more pushed. As Caroline said, we've been doing this for 20 years and 15 years as a family. So we know how to interact and travel more naturally on camera, participating in activities and stuff like that. Bottom left of the screen, we also did something similar with Expedia when we were living in Australia. We did a campaign about short-term getaways, and Caroline did a segment with Garnier showcasing the mummy blogger lifestyle back in the day, a day in the life of a mummy blogger. Yeah, so if you have the budget and the means to hire a film crew, that can be a creative way to work with influencers, and it helps them as well, because it's difficult for us as a family. I'm usually the one behind the camera, and it's hard to get all of us in footage all the time, and we're strapped for time and resources. So it can be a creative, fun way to get some really natural content.
Yeah, and the double advantage of that is that we're also sharing this through our own communities as well. So they get us on their marketing materials, in their video, their commercials, etc. But we're also creating content to put out on our channels. So possibly they're not getting that if they're hiring models. They're just getting the talent to show up and appear in the commercials, but we're also sharing the destination or the brand through our own.
Double dipping,
yeah,
so to speak. Creating assets for you. Influencers can also create assets for you and your brand. Once again, if you don't have the budget to pay for an influencer, you might be able to dip into a different bucket as far as assets and marketing and purchase, either photography or B-roll video. On the top left, we created assets and photography for Ocracoke tourism. Bottom right of the screen, you might recognize Sebastian Aho from the Carolina Hurricanes. I actually shot that with my drone. I was hired by North Hills to shoot that graphic on the tower there before the Winter Classic game in Carter Finley Stadium early in the year. And I was also rehired a few months later by Advanced Auto Parts to shoot some different angles for them. To showcase what they can do with their graphics in different buildings where they have around different cities in the country. And top right there is we created assets. That's on our European cruise with Avalon in Europe. And also part of the marketing campaign was purchasing assets of us engaging as a family in doing the activities on the cruise.
And that middle one, some short form video for Stay 22. That's for their marketing, like Facebook ads, etc., that they want to attract travel bloggers into their affiliate tools. So we just take all that footage you're seeing there is what we've collected over the years. Really easy for us to do, just pull it together and make that short clip that then they can use on their channels. So that's just a pretty cool, easy way you can work as well.
Community-led campaigns. Okay, they can be a fun way for to engage your community and the potential influencer that you partner with. One example is we worked with Outback Queensland. We did a 2-week road trip, and each day they put out a poll on their social channels, and we did it on ours as well, actually, with 3 choices of where we're going to eat, the activity we're going to do for the day. And we crafted our whole itinerary by involving and engaging the communities on social, which was a fun way. And I mean, no matter whether we're in business or what, the best way for us to travel is we love to tap into the local knowledge. They always have the best tips of the best coffee shops, where to view the sunset, where are the best markets, etc. So that was a fun and powerful way. And again, as a business owner, if you don't have a budget to pay an influencer, if you can help them, if you can expose them to your followers, which helps us grow our communities, we can leverage that through other income streams by them coming to our site. We have ads on our site, so we can earn income through that. I mentioned affiliate links. If they click on that, we can earn a commission. So that's another creative way, which we've done quite often in the past as well, and leverage that. Slide is stuck again.
Okay, so another idea is co-sponsors. So you might have a limited budget, but perhaps you could partner with another brand that's relevant and pull in an influencer that way. So last year we did this with the Outer Banks and Shady Rays. So obviously great fit there, because the Outer Banks is full of great outdoor adventure activities, and the Shady Rays can protect you from the sun while you're doing it. So we just created content. You can see the photos we have there with the Shady Rays. We did some blog posts and some reels, and they had a great giveaway for an Outer Banks vacation, as well as some discounts for our readers to purchase Shady Rays. So that was a really great idea of 2 brands coming together on a campaign, pooling their resources and working with some influencers.
Top line sponsors is another good way. Last year we created a 48-hour guide to North Hills, and we had Kane Realty was the top line sponsor. They funded the guide. And then through our relationship building over the years and our knowledge of the type of content that we wanted to create and our audience likes to engage with, we reached out to select restaurants and retail stores and attractions, and then created that guide, which can be a great way if individual businesses don't have the budget, you can pool your resources and become a part of the story that way. And that worked really well. And this year, North Hills are working with us again to create different story angles. We've already done a date ideas story angle and things to do in North Hills with kids. Later on in the year, we have a things to do in the fall and things to do around the holiday Christmas season. And from that, we've created extra articles which weren't part of the marketing campaign agreement. For example, Coquette Brasserie on the top left that we love, we've been to many times, and Giorgio Pizza Bar in North Hills. Purely for the fact that we loved those experiences, we love that food. It ties into our story because we're going to Europe, we're going to France, and we're going to Italy. So even though we might engage in a marketing campaign for X amount of content, quite often later on we're going to be creating like lists of, like our favorite Italian restaurants, or our favorite brunch experiences, or our favorite museums. So more often than not, your content can reappear in different articles and different social content.
So here's a new thing that we're doing and thinking about co-partnering with experts. And so in your particular business, you may be the expert in something, and you may have a content creator who's an expert in an area that you need, but don't have the time or resources for. So to explain, as I mentioned in the beginning, we have a lot of people thinking about moving to Raleigh, and they find our site and we paint that picture of what life is like here. And last year I got my real estate license because many of those people coming were looking for help, looking for a realtor. And we all know there are 1,001 realtors. We went through the experience of buying a house ourselves here 2 years ago. And one of the most challenging parts was finding the right realtor. So as a licensed real estate agent, I don't buy or sell homes. It's not what I want to do. But I have that so I can legally help people moving here and partner them up with a realtor. So I have some agents that I work with who I then refer them to. So we now have a partnership with Property Specific, who's the broker. Their wheelhouse, their main focus is helping people buy and sell homes. And we can then come in as the expert content creators and create that content that showcases living in that area. So we have at the moment we are sharing Apex and Wake Forest. We're going in, we're shooting a lot of video content for YouTube, for social media, and we're also creating a lot of guides on our site. And we're showcasing what it's like to live there. So not necessarily about homes and, you can buy this home, 5 bedrooms for X amount, but what life is there. And so this is a partnership between us. So you want to think about this as a partnership, and how is one benefiting? So we're receiving marketing dollars to be able to create this content, but also commissions, referral commissions. So it's a really strong partnership. Our passion, our love is showcasing Raleigh. So we love this relationship because we can do what we love and focus on that, what we're good at, and so can Property Specific Realty. So we're really helping each other here. So think about this as a more sort of complex, more in-depth kind of relationship, but very powerful, and sort of think about in your business, how could this possibly work? And you can just leverage the skills of each other.
Yeah, the Apex guide is not live soon, coming hopefully by the end of this week or next week. Okay, long-term partnerships, we love to focus on that as much as possible. Obviously, not everything needs a long-term partnership. It can just be a one-off engagement, but with long-term, you get that consistent messaging and endorsement. As you probably know, people need to see something more than once before they take action. Promote seasonal content. We've been to the Outer Banks in different seasons because they have different festivals. You can have different experiences at different times of year. And if you're a restaurant or a bar owner, you could hire an influencer to come in, quarterly when you have menu changes or you got seasonal drinks on, etc. And when we create a lot of content through those longer term partnerships, we can interlink them through Google, through our blog posts and stuff like that, which gives them more power and more leverage, and they can be seen. Somebody might be on one particular blog article and then they click a link and go to another article that they weren't aware of a product or service that you offered, and leveraging across all platforms, as we mentioned. Do you want to mention about that?
Yeah, you can just see some articles there we've written in regards to Globus and the different tours that we've done with them. So they're all linking together. Our community are constantly seeing us doing another Globus trip or an Avalon Waterways and sharing the experience. We're creating about 4 articles on each experience, and they're all connected. So if someone's reading the River Cruise one and then they go, oh, look, these guys also did one on Ireland, I might go and see what that one is like. So that's what we mean there about interlinking and cross-promoting and leveraging all our platforms.
Yeah, I just want to make the point to, like, coming back to if you're a business owner and you don't have much budget, if you have no budget or you have little budget, but if you're looking long-term partnerships, if we have somebody reach out to us for a one-off campaign and the budget is quite small, we're more inclined to say no. But if we're looking at a longer partnership, like maybe 12 months, 6 months or longer, and we know there's going to be ongoing work and we don't have to chase work constantly, that's more enticing for us to say yes. And building relationships is a relationship business, guys. So we get to know you better, you get to know us, our community gets to know you better, the more touch. So we love long-term partnerships.
We really do, and we really focus on giving that extraordinary value for our long-term partners, especially. Like, we give value for anyone we work with, but we just always go the extra mile. Our long-term partners, we've done things like host events. We've been working with Allianz Travel Insurance now for about six or 7 years, and so they have events in New York that aligns with the New York Times Travel Show. So we would appear as special guests at that event and talk to their community. I mentioned the presentations that I do often for TBEX. If we're featured in traditional media, be it TV or in print or anything like that, our long-term partners are always front of mind. So if there is a way, we might not always be able to work it in, but if there is a way for us to authentically include it, we will do that for our long-term partners, definitely. We were on My Carolina and we were talking about events coming up for June, I think, and we were able to talk about North Hills. We were going there for a restaurant. So there are ways that we do that. We've hosted Twitter chats before, well, probably X chats now, which doesn't sound quite as good. For Allianz Travel Insurance, we were regularly doing them monthly. So these long-term partners, the influencers, can really be that trusted expert for your brand. And it's so much more powerful when your messaging is coming through them rather than yourself. So let's jump in. We're going to wrap it all up now. We know we've given you a lot of information. So we just want to reiterate to you and summarize what is, when working with influencers, what is the bad, what is the good, and what is the ultimate. And so we'll start with the bad, the mistakes. We've experienced these from a client's end, but also ourselves. We've made plenty of mistakes. So if you're an influencer, don't worry. Really, we feel like every day we're throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. And we've been doing that successfully, strangely enough, for this long now. So we've learned a lot. So one of the mistakes is not third-party validation of your company. We worked with the Tourism Board in Australia, created amazing content. This was also a region we lived in, so very similar to Raleigh. And they had some weird regulation that they weren't allowed to share the content that the bloggers or influencers had created. That's a bad move. If someone's saying anything positive, if they're sharing personal stories, whatever, of your brand, product, service, you want to share that and get that out, because it's way more powerful than your standard like banner ad or the way you're promoting. Not researching the influencer. I won't go into that because we've spoken enough about it. Expecting the influencer to be responsible for conversions. They are in the marketing field. They're the drivers. So they're driving people to your sales page or to your Instagram page or to your store. Then the responsibility is on you for converting them. Obviously, the influencer is helping a lot, but the conversion is on your end. And we can't be responsible for how you're converting either. So it's not really fair to lay that upon an influencer. I spoke briefly about algorithms, but anyone doing this, we're all small businesses, you're all probably dealing with social media. Those algorithms are a pain. And that's why we like the multiple platforms, because if one's not working, if you're having a bad day with the Instagram algorithms, it might be promising for you over on the blogging algorithms, right? So understand that you may work with an influencer and they may have a piece of content that doesn't do very well. It's not necessarily them. It's this algorithm that they're fighting. And that's where the power of the long-term partnership, the consistent messaging comes into play. Because if one doesn't land with an algorithm, another might. And generally, we're pretty good. We understand how it works. If we have something that tanks, we will put other content out to try and make up for that, because we absolutely want to have good results for our partners. And this is really important. You can't take an influencer's words, their imageries, their videography, and reuse it for your marketing materials without permission or paid licensing rights. So you could share their content, like you could take our blog post, you could share it, you could link to it, you could repost one of our Instagram feed updates, but you can't take the images that we've created, the work that we've created, take it off and then repurpose it and create your own marketing materials. Maybe you want to promote, a stay in your hotel, or you want to promote a discount you have for your product. You can't take that without paying for it or have paid licensing rights.
Continuing with mistakes, not understanding the investment of resources. Just bear in mind that, it's taken a long time for influencers to build their influence and the community, and just be appreciated of that. The creative value, time and skills in the influencer, as I mentioned, they could have photography skills, they could have SEO skills, videography skills, they could be great at creative writing, email marketing, not understanding a fair value exchange. Help me promote my brand and product with 10 hours of, I'll give you a free beer. Like we are very grateful when we get offered to go have a free meal or a free drink. We appreciate that. But we also are business owners and we have to make business decisions, and what could be a 3 to 4 experience takes us away from other income producing activities. And to create that content, whether it's a blog post, a video reel, a YouTube video, that takes time, and that leans into the marketing budget versus the pure hosting relationship. So just bear that in mind. And I think
and so a couple more, comparing to what other influencers do or charge. We're all at different levels. We all have different skill sets. Some people who are new at influencing might not understand the value that they have. And so if we've sent you a proposal and you're saying, well, other influencers charge this amount, it's not going to matter, because we're all in different circumstances. So we're not going to pay attention to that, because we know our own lane and we know our skill level, our experience, our creativity, etc. So that's a mistake to make. Another big mistake to make, and you leaving yourself for potential trouble here, is not disclaiming. You should insist that the influencers, it should actually be in the contract that you're working with, do disclose and disclaim. And that's even if you send them a product or you host them at a restaurant. So we're pretty adamant and very clear at doing that. We've been doing it a long time. If something is paid for, we will disclose it, put the word ad in there or partner, etc. And if you're an influencer, please do this. It is damaging to the industry. It's damaging to your own reputation, because it can be pretty easy to see and notice. And I love that we do this. And I love when people ask us if we put a content out and they say, is this paid for? And we can always say, no, if it's paid for, we will tell you. Very, very important in building that trust. ghosting, we want to give you permission to say no. It's okay to say no, and we will do the same. This is not in relation to cold calling or cold email, because we know everybody's busy and you just can't attend to every request. But if you are in a relationship building with someone and you're back and forth for potentially working with them, they're spending time, the influencer, maybe getting on the phone, maybe meeting you for coffee, putting a proposal together and sending it through to you. And then if it's not a fit, just ghosting them and you never hear from them again. We've been in the industry a long time. We know plenty of other people in the industry. This is the number one thing we complain about, and we share it. It's really irritating. We just want you to say it's not going to work for us at this time. And why is it also important? As we've mentioned, we love supporting local. We love to support local businesses. So if we're building that relationship and something comes up, like North Hills as a top line sponsor, if we have that relationship with you and we know you want to work with us but don't have the budget, we can come back and say, hey, we have an opportunity. This might work for you now. But if you're ghosting, you're just shutting that door, because we're going to say, okay, well, if you couldn't respect me enough to just say, no, I'm not going to work with you in the future. And alongside of that, it's just simple manners. We have so many people I think they just demand, do this for me. I think Google search, because they'll just say best brunches in Raleigh. No, hi, how are you? Thank you, please. It really does go a very long way, and it's relationship building. People will remember you.
Yeah, treat people online as you would if you walked up to them in the street face to face. Quick couple of power plays. Long-term partnerships, as I mentioned, holds a lot of value. Align with story, professionalism. You want to hire people who do what they say they're going to do. And they're professional online and offline. They have the authority and the expertise in the particular niche they're operating in and creating quality content. Not just numbers. Big is not always best. Remember, relevancy is key. And we recently heard at a conference, a particular resort, was it the Bahamas?
Mexico.
Mexico. The hotel resort hired Kim Kardashian to go to the hotel, and unfortunately that resulted in 0 room sales, 0 bums in beds, because probably, let's face it, most of Kim Kardashian's followers are more interested in what she's wearing and all the gossip going on at the time. So and same here, on a local level. Now, you probably, if you're a bar owner, you probably don't want to hire an influencer who doesn't drink, or a vegetarian to promote your barbecue restaurant. Like, this is simple stuff, guys, but I see it all the time, people getting it so wrong. So relevancy is key. If there's one thing you take away from this, don't just hire someone because they have 100,000 followers. Dive into their audience and make sure they're relevant to your brand and products. Leverage across multiple platforms. We've mentioned the power of that. It's okay if someone's just on Instagram, if you just want to bring awareness to an event or an attraction, etc. That can be great. But if you want longevity, you want to be shown up in like YouTube, if you want to show up in Pinterest, you want to show up in Google, find somebody who has a multimedia business. Allow creative control for the influencer. Again, they're experts in the skills and their industry and their audience and what they do. Paid compensation has the most value, and we prioritize that content with the time and the energy and the resources we put into it and the publishing dates. And I hear this all the time. Support local, support local, support local. And we love to support local, whether it's attractions, bars, restaurants, you name it. We love to support local. Don't forget to support your local content creators who are supporting those local restaurants and bars, etc.
And so the ultimate, and we've said it over and over again, we noticed this phrase that was said about us when we were working with different tourism boards in Australia. So we'd work with one and they would just say, oh, wow, you guys are the gift that keeps on giving. And then we worked with another one and they said the same thing. And then we've come over here and brands and that over here are saying the same thing. And the reason that is being said about us, and this is the ultimate partnership you want to find with an influencer, and it's all of the things that we've been saying about finding the right one, is that it's all got to do with love and passion for the destination or the brand and the product that you're working with, the trust and the loyalty, the multiple platforms. So we're spreading our messages far and wide. We worked with Queensland last in 2017 before we moved over here, but we're still sharing them, even on TV. I was on Fox Business and I even shared Queensland then with lots of great images about Queensland. So it's just this constant sharing and repurposing of the ultimate partnerships. And this is high level stuff. This is going to take a long time and a lot of that ground work to get to that point, but it can just do amazing things for your business if you can align with that ultimate scenario, the gift that keeps on giving.
Okay, so thanks, Jen. That's a wrap. Thanks for having us. We appreciate it. If anyone's still listening, because I kind of feel like I'm sitting here staring at my screen talking to myself. But this is where you can find us online if you want to. This is Raleigh.com is our website now. At This Is Raleigh on Instagram, at This Is Raleigh NC on Facebook and Twitter. And yeah.
And then we have questions, and then that's our travel site as well. yTravel blog and at This Is Raleigh.
Well, this was amazing. I don't know about anybody else, but I learned so much, and you guys are incredibly talented and gifted. And I didn't even realize how much you were doing. It's truly just impressive that you guys have built this incredible local company and brand and business. So kudos to you guys. If you ever want to come work for a small nonprofit, let us know.
We don't sleep at this, come on.
But we did have a couple questions from you guys that came in. One is, and if anybody has to leave, we completely understand. Don't worry, we're recording this and we'll share this, and it's on YouTube, it'll be on Facebook, and we're happy to share this out just because this is so much good knowledge. Could you share some tips on researching an influencer's authenticity and engagement rates before partnering with them?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to put some time and resources into a partnership, meet up with them offline. Like, it's amazing. Unfortunately, this happens a lot, and I guess back from day one, we used to go to meetups when it was basically just Twitter and Facebook, and it's incredible how different some people can be offline to online. So if you want to really get to know somebody, just meet up for coffee. Like, if you're investing like $2,000, $5,000 and you're putting your brand on the line, meet up with them in person and get to know them offline.
There are tools that you can use in terms of engagement rate as well. And I can't think of them off the top of my head right now, but Instagram will have those stats. I think Slick is one, and that will give influencers their engagement rate. I'm not sure if you can actually research them yourself, but there are lots of tools online, easy to access and free, I think. And you would just like type in the influencer's handle, and then it can spit back and let you know what their engagement rate is.
Yeah, and just follow them closely online. Like, look at the comments that they receive and how much they engage and treat their audience. If there's a common problem, a common thread, like looking at reviews on TripAdvisor or something, I mean, take them with a grain of salt, because people like to complain for the sake of complaining. But if there's a common problem, it'll probably stand out. And then you can just reach out directly to them and verify. Because sometimes, people will pop up in Google searches for reasons, and, it might not paint the true picture.
Excellent. I know I've got two more sitting here, but I wanted to ask to give everyone else the chance. Was there anyone else that had some questions that they wanted to throw out there? Because I want to make sure you get the chance to answer all of yours as well. Feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand. Okay. So I'll go next while we're waiting. If anybody else wants to key theirs in, if you need to DM it to me. Are there any tools or strategies that you recommend for tracking and analyzing the ROI of working with influencers?
Yes. Let me just pull up so I get the right name. It's something we've recently discovered, and we use it with Allianz Influence Kit. Thank you. We use it with Allianz Travel. So Allianz Travel, they work with, they have a few ambassadors like us that they work with. And so they have an account on Influencer Kit. And we just then, they have given us like a link or a folder within their account. And we go and add in all our content. And Influencer Kit will just automatically pull all the statistics, the impressions, the views, the engagement, and they create really nice reports from that. And it's just really easy to do, click of a button. So that's something we're going to be using ourselves now. We'll get our own account and use that for clients that we work with. It's really good. We've looked at lots of different ones before and they haven't been great, but Influencer Kit is a really good one.
Yeah, and obviously manually you can ask them to show the insights from Instagram, like how many stories it was viewed, if the link was clicked in through stories, through blog content, Google Analytics, we can show how many people viewed a particular article, how long they were on that article. We can put in tracking links using the Google URL builder that they can show up in their back end of analytics and stuff like that. But yeah, that one that you mentioned is great for curating a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, it's just really easy because finding for us ourselves, gathering all of that reporting and going to all of our different platforms and using Google Analytics or Instagram Insights and collecting all of that. It takes a very long time. And that's something we wouldn't do unless it was a paid partnership. It's just too much work, too much effort. But this one just makes that so much easier.
Yeah, it has been tricky. I mean, it's always been tricky, the tracking and stuff like that. And the other thing to keep in mind is, although we work online and we create all our content online, if you align with a particular influencer, we're also talking to people behind the scenes offline and sharing our favorite restaurants or beach destination or what have you. That's not something you can track, but it's very powerful if you align with the right person as well.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, here's another one. Music for reels and awarenesses of what businesses can use to reshare for collaboration. Meaning, how do you handle that? There's been influencers that people have used and hired, and they've used copyrighted music, and a business can't reshare that post.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to vetting and being clear, I guess, in your contracts, if you have them in place, and being clear in what they can and can't use. I know these regulations are put in place by Instagram, correct? So if you have a certain type of account, then you can't reshare them, or you can't be a collaborator on them. That has happened to partners of ours because they're restricted. And I guess you have to have that conversation with them to see, is the greater benefit going to be you might have to forego the collaboration and instead just reshare it, because it may be greater value for the Instagram who has access to that music to use that music and get greater reach via their own channels. And then the brand can then just reshare it instead of being the collaborator. But that would be a conversation you would have to have with them in the beginning, because I don't know any other way you can really work around that, because that's an Instagram regulation.
And they drive us all crazy every day.
Instagram, that is.
What key performance indicators should small businesses track to measure the effectiveness, or did I already ask this one, of their influencer campaigns? Is that the one that you said?
Well, I guess that comes back to asking yourself the right questions. What are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve email signups to a particular event? Are you trying to, increase the size of your Facebook or Instagram audience? Are you trying to sell a particular product? What does that look like for you? And then track that and craft the content around that. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I just think you need to be clear on what those KPIs are, and then chat with the influencer in terms of how they can help measure that for you, whether in terms of like traffic stats, or we can add in like click tracking, UTM parameters, that kind of stuff to help present that information. It can be challenging because there's so much that goes into it, especially like for the travel. It depends so much on the niche that you're in. And we all know, like, for the marketing, because we're sitting really in the marketing field, that people sometimes need to see things 7 times or more. And for travel, the industry we're in, it's not an industry where people are making an immediate purchase. So someone just reached out to me the other day and said they just booked a place in the Queensland rainforest that we shared with them 7 years ago, and they've just booked it now. And so they've saved it for that long until they had the opportunity to go there. So there's so much involved in it that sometimes we can't provide any statistics to that because it's 7 years later, and that's happening all the time in the travel industry.
Yeah. So yeah, asking those questions and being specific and you know, having realistic expectations. I mean, obviously everyone wants results now. We're in that society, we want results tomorrow, but like some long form content that sits there for years and it's evergreen content, like that return can just keep filtering in like forever. Again, it depends on the platform. Like, you know, if it's Instagram, you know, you want something to activate tonight or whatever, versus a podcast or a YouTube video. That's a more longer term reach. So yeah, just asking the right questions, having realistic expectations, and then doing a collaborative effort to track on your end and whatever tools and resources the content creator has at their disposal.
And what they can offer you. And I know with the work that we've done with Allianz, because a lot of that has been blog content focused, we will typically share a report with them on our stats, for our blog content stats, you know, 3 months after it. We like to give it some time to get eyeballs onto it, but we'll do like 3 months, 6 months, a year, even 2 years later. And we can say, hey, you know, we wrote this piece of content for you a year ago and look how well it's doing. It's still, you know, growing in the number of traffic views, just to have that consistency in allowing the client to see the long-term effects of working with an influencer, that it's not always just immediate, which is, I know that's challenging because, as Craig mentioned, everyone wants the results now, but I think with influencer, the greater power comes in looking at that long term and how it can help your business consistently.
I guess you can, like, by giving a unique code, discount code, or any code that they share through their content, you could track conversions that way. You mentioned the tracking links we can use for Google URL Builder and stuff like that. Asking someone when they walk into the store how they found you, or you have a particular box on a form that they have to fill in, like, how did you hear about us? Like, I know that some of these can be tedious and time consuming, but there's no perfect solution, I don't think, for every situation.
Well, that is amazing. I think I've gone through the questions here, and ones I've received, I think we've covered everything, but if there's anyone else, before we let them go, I want to be respectful of their time because it is clear they have a ton of clients and a lot of content to create. Anyone else have any final comments or questions today? Okay, well, we will wrap this up. Thank you guys again so much. Again, this will be online. You can watch it again at any time. Obviously, when people rewatch this, I'm sure they'll be calling Blue Water Spa for their M-Sculpt treatments, and that'll be coming up, the untrackable continued marketing effects that'll happen from this. Craig, I love that you're wearing your Pearl Jam t-shirt at a bluegrass event. So very timely and fitting in the picture here on the left.
I'm like,
so very fitting to go to bluegrass with Pearl Jam.
yeah.
But
yeah.
Thank you.
Well spotted. What can I say?
Thank you both again. This has been just unbelievably insightful and so much information. And so if anyone has any questions, feel free to contact them direct. If you'd like to work with them, if you have other questions on working with influencers, feel free to reach out to us as well. Thank you all for your time, and we will see you next month.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye.